Hey guys, Useless here, and today I wanted to talk about why I believe Matt Reeves' The Batman could be the best Batman movie. Now, I know that that's kind of a silly thing to say because literally every movie in production has the potential of being better than any movie. However, in this video, I want to outline why I believe The Batman is especially positioned to be the very best that no one ever was. So, I've never been completely satisfied with a Batman movie. Batman 89, it's a classic. It was an important stepping stone for, great things to come. Batman as we know it today would not be a thing without that movie. I totally get that, but when you look at that movie on its own, Batman honestly feels like kind of an afterthought in it. He's just not really much of a character. Batman Returns is a nonsensical farce. At least in Batman 89, you got to relish in Jack Nicholson's incredible performance, but in Returns, it's just Tim Burton nonsense. Again, Batman is an afterthought, and Catwoman and the Penguin are just weird, and not in a good way, in a bad Tim Burton kind of way. Batman Forever is actually my personal favorite of the Burton Schumacher era of Batman movies. Is it goofy? Absolutely, but it actually explores the character of Batman in a much more compelling way than either 89 or Returns. And, we all try to forget Batman and Robin doesn't exist. But even the Nolan movies haven't 100% satisfied me. I love those movies and, I think they're great films, but I don't love Nolan's take on Batman. You see, I've always thought that Bruce Wayne was the mask and Batman was who the character really is. However, in the Nolan movies, it feels like there are almost 3 characters being played. There's Playboy billionaire Bruce, there's Batman, and then there's sad boy Bruce that we see when he's interacting with Alfred or Rachel. And there's nothing wrong with that interpretation necessarily, it's just not what I've always thought of the character to be and what I've always wanted to see on film. And that leads us into the Snyder era. I actually think that Batman in Batman v Superman is the closest to what I've always wanted to see. I really feel like Batman is who that character really was and that Bruce Wayne was the mask that he puts on to fool people. I also feel like the action in BVS is leagues ahead of anything that we'd seen before. The action in the other Batman movies either feel dated, too goofy, or just not well choreographed. The Batman action in BVS, though, is sublime. You can actually see what's happening, and that warehouse scene, like, that warehouse scene is by far the best Batman action scene that we have ever seen in live action. And that, it's not even close. Where BVS ultimately fails, though, is, being a good movie. Also, I'm just not a fan of Batman killing people. I know that that's a hotly debated topic, but I just feel like it makes the character less interesting. But anyways, I know that all of these Batman takes have probably triggered everyone, but I do just kind of want to set up, my feelings on all the other Batman movies before I get into why I believe Matt Reeves' The Batman could be better than all of them. I know that I went through all of that relatively quickly, and you're all probably gearing up to leave a nasty comment, but I don't know, maybe I'll go into those other movies at some point in their own, individual videos, because I do believe that all of those takes that I just gave probably demand more elaboration, but unfortunately, that's not what this video is about, so I'm sorry if you are triggered. But I do also want to say that I'm not saying I hate all of those movies. In fact, I would say that I appreciate all of them, for better or for worse. I just wanted to illustrate why I feel like none of them have truly nailed the character of Batman. So anyways, those have been my feelings of Batman on film. But then DC Fandom happened, and oh boy, oh my, did it happen. The gods graced us with the first trailer for Matt Reeves' The Batman. And this trailer, at least the trailer, I haven't seen the movie, maybe it'll end up being a hot mess, but just judging off of this trailer, it really does seem like this movie is gonna be everything that I've ever wanted out of a Batman movie. First of all, and this is, the most important thing, we have a great director behind the camera. Matt Reeves directed the last two Apes movies, he directed Cloverfield, and he directed Let Me In. Now, I've only watched his Planet of the Apes work, but it is fantastic. They aren't just like good, sci-fi movies about smart monkeys. They are genuinely fantastic films. Now, we also have an incredible actor to don the cowl. And if you're someone who's skeptical of Robert Pattinson because of Twilight or whatever, I implore you to check out some of his work that he's done since the Twilight movies, like The Lighthouse or Rover, because the guy is a fantastic actor. So I don't know, if I feel like that's something that has kind of died down since the trailer came out, but if you're still one of those people, please go check out some of his other movies. He does really good work, and I have no doubt that he's gonna crush this role. Nobody else is saying this, but I'm not a coward, so I'm gonna say it. Paul Dano's Riddler has a decent chance of being as good as Heath Ledger's Joker. Whoa, hear me out. Just hear me out. Why was Heath Ledger great as the Joker? Obviously, he gave a performance of a lifetime, but just giving a great performance isn't going to put that performance on the pedestal that we put Heath Ledger's Joker. Heath Ledger had fantastic material to work with. He had a fantastic character to work with. So it's not just Heath Ledger's performance. You need really good material to pair along with that in order to create something truly special. And you know what? Paul Dano is a fantastic actor who I believe is capable of giving a performance on that level. And a serial killer Riddler is the perfect material to pair up with Paul Dano's sensibilities. Now, I didn't really touch this in my whole Batman movie spiel, but another thing that we've never seen in any of the other Batman movies is, Batman actually being the world's greatest detective. And this trailer indicates that we're going to get a much more detective-oriented Batman story. With the Riddler being a serial killer, I imagine that we're going to actually see Batman do detective-y things. And that is very exciting. And as far as action goes, I think the action that we saw in this trailer looked perfect. I think there are going to be long take sequences where we can actually see what's happening, clearly. Like, take the scene where he's just beating the snot out of that thug. They just set the camera on a tripod and said, go. It's a one-take scene where the action is just allowed to play out and you can see it clearly. Christopher Nolan, maybe you can learn something from that. Because there's just something so beautiful about that simplicity. And if you're just looking at, what's happening and what's being choreographed, it really has that brutality of like a Netflix's Daredevil. I like that he doesn't just take the guy out with one punch. The fact that he just keeps on beating him, it really showcases how angry this Bruce is. And that leads me to my next point. I also feel like I'm gonna get that dichotomy that I was talking about. This Bruce looks full of anger. I mean, look at that last shot of Robert Pattinson's face. He's alone in his cave and he has his mask off. And just look how angry he is. This anger is who Bruce Wayne is. Batman is who he is. Bruce Wayne is the mask that he puts on to mislead people. And boy, oh boy, does my pee-pee get hard thinking about how good this movie could be. So yeah, these are my thoughts on this new Batman movie and just Batman movies in general, I guess. I haven't felt like the character has been really nailed on screen before, but I am incredibly hopeful for this new take by Matt Reeves. But anyways, are you excited for R. Pat's, R. Battinson, whatever his Batman name is? Did my Batman movie takes upset you? I hope not, although I understand that they're not exactly the most popular ones, at least when it comes to like the classic Batman movies. I want to hear from you in the comments down below. I just hit my arm on my desk and my elbow hurts. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and ring that bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video every Monday at 12 o'clock. Bye.